Hi, friends. I'm Taylor, and welcome back to my podcast. Is it Single Girl Safe? One of these days, I'm gonna have a reliable setup, but unfortunately, today is not that day. Nothing's working. Quite literally, nothing's connecting. Nothing's integrating with each other, and it's just none of my business. I have an episode to release. Okay, so today I'm going to say tips for emotional stability. I'm going through a very emotional time. It's like things have been chill. And I was up. I'm still up, to be very honest. But most definitely having to share space with people who are bonding against you, and part of their bond is both their distaste for you. It not only hurts because I have a really, soft heart, and I most definitely went into those friendships and those situations with like a full heart, true self point of view in action. And I got my shit ransacked, it's like transactional. Those relationships were most definitely the definition of a transactional relationship, and it's none of my goddamn business with their journey on and how they, get there through other people. All I know is I'm left with some emotional residue, you know? And instead of letting that residue eat me alive, because as a person with depression, and also in this society, like, I feel like our society makes us stagnant. Like, I feel like our society rarely teaches progression. And if you have a family that teaches progression, you don't realize how lucky you are until all you know is stagnation. And so instead of leaving someone else's projections onto me stagnant within me, which will eventually stagnate me, I am gonna go ahead and return them hoes back to sender and overall put it back into the energy field to get it out of me. Because yeah, it hurts. It's the classic lesson of you may want to be friends with everyone, but not everyone wants to be your friend. And I'm not even going to say everyone, because I'm not trying to be friends with the whole room. That's part of the emotional scar. I don't be trying to be friends with the whole room, I just be minding my business. It's like somebody literally infiltrated my life all for something, and when it's not good enough for them, not only do they take dignity, but they also take other friends. And there's so many people that have changed their point of view around me by being around this person, and that's just a straight up demon. Like, that's a demon. Like, they are well enough to literally get to where they need to be without doing that. But of course, I feel like it's a classic white girl thing of, in before I, put myself on the line, I'm just gonna ruin everybody else's life. And then I'm gonna get comforted on how hurt I am because other people are hurt that I hurt them, but I deserve all of the affection back. Like, it's such a cycle. Not everybody's like that. I just feel like it's just more typical with that group, and she's most definitely one of those that are like that. And so, of course, there's emotional residue in being hurt and people choosing to defend the person that hurt you, and then also not like you because you don't like the person that hurt you. Like, I just want to go to dance. I just want to make my art, and I just want to continue to develop as a person without this emotional residue. So I made some tips for emotional restabilization. Okay, let me get them. Okay, friends, if you didn't know, now you know. I now have a blog where I basically simplify everything that I'm talking about. Because I realize that I'm quite a bit of a rambler. And the more that I talk, the more that I'll be able to get a little bit more concise in what I'm saying. But until those days get here, I most definitely made a written version of this that you could refer to at any time. I try to typically, mainly because I have a short attention span, I try to really keep these tips as 5 and under. Okay, you gotta get down. You're doing too much. Okay, mainly when I think of tips and I store things as tips in my brain, it gotta be like on a hand. It can't be anymore unless it's like a philosophy and my way of life, a theory. That's when I'll have 10 tips, is when I got a theory and when I got a philosophy and when I got a belief. Okay, but when it comes to things like this, just like a quick something to pull out your back pocket so you could still continue to be a neutral setting. Yeah, this is a tip. This tip only has 4. So let's go through it. Tip number 1, remove the feeling from the being. So the way that I like to detach myself from my emotions is I look at what triggered it. And so yesterday is a great example on I'm feeling misplaced. I feel misplaced because people that I have the same energy as, I don't get along with because of someone else. And that hurts me. And so the next thing I do is I look at what that emotion is saying. What I think it says, it makes me feel like I'm not good enough to be in the space because somebody else doesn't like me and everybody likes another person more. And so I'm feeling exiled. It makes me feel like I need to be exiled. And so the next thing you do is determine if that's your voice or someone else's projection that you're internalizing. I feel like in my case, like it's pretty clear that it's an outside projection, but also it's also clear that these aren't other people's words. It's people's actions and energy, but since there's no words to them, I really can't hold people to it type of thing. And in this type of sense, I wouldn't want to. I just want to be able to feel comfortable. I like a big part that I don't understand is like all of this for what? Friends, a gig, like you don't have to be friends with everyone. Like to that person that just came and literally just tormented somebody's social life off for what? Friends, a gig. You quite literally don't have to be friends with everyone to get places. Like you could quite literally just do you and be you, and I promise you will get to where you need to get. But going back to my point on determining if this is your voice or someone else's projection that you're internalizing throughout those friendships, even with not just this main person but the person next to them, like there's interactions throughout that friendship that I most definitely, with words that I have been internalizing. And so I'm able to see that my voice is taking somebody else's projections and I'm most definitely internalizing it. And so the next step that I would do is remove the I from it. And so it's not I'm exiled and I'm not good enough because I don't fit in with these people. It's that feeling feels like that. And that feeling makes me feel that. And so that's overall how I remove my feeling from the being, which is step 1. Step 2, redefine the being and then pick the channel for the emotion. So the 2 main emotions are not feeling good enough to hang out with people with similar energy and the feeling of exileness. I don't like feeling like I'm not in my community, like you wouldn't feel like you're in a community if you're not in the community, And so feeling like you're not in the community when you are in the community has a lot of pain to it. And so we got the two emotions. I know those aren't me. And so now that I have those two emotions, what do I believe? Now that I'm empty of those, what are my actual beliefs? My actual beliefs is that I'm more than good enough. I'm just literally in a growth stage. It's like from my childhood to my young adulthood to where I am today, I've had to clean up so much in the back end to where I'm really in my first couple years of being a real person, like let alone an adult. Like I'm really back into being a literal human being that is not a dump truck for somebody else, literally physically and emotionally, to where it's like though like it does take a little bit of time for your reality internally to shift to shift and match up with your reality externally. And so I believe that I'm more than good enough. I'm just in a different stage of life than my peers. And my stage of life makes them so uncomfortable that it's just distance is the best. And so it's okay. That's completely okay. And then the second one is I don't believe that I'm actually exiled from my community, because even in this same place, there's other people that I'm talking to there. There's other pieces I'm a part of. There's other friends there. It's like that's what makes my heart so full, like being a part of this. It's like I feel like there's so many people from the Austin dance community that's here and like showing up to classes all the time. Like this is like my heart. This is my heart. This is my home. This is my space. And there's other people in it that don't hold those feelings towards me and don't even have like those intentions, because a big thing about it is I don't believe her when she says she doesn't know what she's doing. I know she knows exactly what she's doing. I just think it worked for her for so long to where it's just like other people are not using people to get where they want or trying to figure out what they want. Not everybody's doing that to everyone. And so it's fine to, recognize the signs. It's like you've been through it. So now I'm just able to recognize the signs and I'm able to just give more attention to people in the community that aren't doing that, so I'm not hurt by that same action. In my beliefs from these two emotions, I'm more than good enough. I'm just in a different stage of life, and it's okay that it can make other people uncomfortable. The distance is the best, and that is completely fine. Second, I'm not actually exiled. There's other people in my community that I bond with. There's other people in my community that I share love with. Just because I just got a hate dagger from my back on somebody who was supposed to spread that love to me. That's what their words say. That's what their face says. But their words are saying something different behind. Their soul is saying something different. They're literally saying something different. And there's times where it be popping out and I just don't make excuses for it. And that's completely okay, In my beliefs, I'm not actually exiled. There's other people in my community that I share love with. And it's genuine love and it's real love. That's how I'm getting unflopped. Like you can't hate makes people flop. Like rather it's outright or it's subconsciously being channeled. Like that shit be dragging people down. And so the difference between me this year and even me last year, even though me last year in comparison to me 10 years ago looks up, it's just like the people that keep you close really, really, really matters. It matters a lot. Okay, nice. So the next part of redefining the being and picking the channel for the emotion is to pick the channel for the emotion. Now that you have your beliefs, what's your favorite thing to release through? personally, in my beliefs, I feel like I'm more than good enough. I'm just in a state of growth, and it can make people uncomfortable, and that's okay. Second, I'm not exiled from my community. There are other people in my community that I share and receive love from. So I'm not actually exiled, which is something that I like to develop on from these beliefs. A big thing is creation, to be very honest. Like, I'm a very creative, artistic person that was quite literally being beat out of me as a child. But as I get more into my human being and what I am, it's just like, from making the podcast, making pictures around the podcast, making the blog, making dance, it's been a while since I've been able to just like literally channel movement for nothing. Like, I feel like I work with a lot of people, but channeling movement for nothing is very, very difficult for me. And that's not very good as an independent artist, you know. Like, it's most definitely getting to a stage of like my own projects, my own voice type of thing. But when that growth of your own voice has been suppressed, like, it almost feels weird and very hard for it to happen. But being able to feel it happen, I'm like, this is amazing. And even like having these feelings, I just started making movement videos again. So being able to channel through my own movement and not just somebody else's movement for a piece and a gig, like, amazing. Making like an audio show, you know, I talked to my grandma, I talked to like 2 friends, but I'm not like, when you work alone and these type of things, like, there's a very few pocket times where you really get to talk to a lot of people. And it's just like, me not having a friend group of like 13 people, I feel socially deprived. I feel socially drained right now. Like, I feel like I got so much to say and I ain't got nobody to say it to. That's why people be coming to the internet. When you got a whole bunch of shit to say and you ain't got nobody to say it to, that's why bitches be coming to the internet. And I done turned around and did the same thing. But on the bright side, I created a whole show out of it. I absolutely love creating art, and the art that's underneath my umbrella. Art that's underneath my umbrella is dance and this podcast. It's absolutely freaking amazing. And so that's my favorite way to release it. Tip number 3. Oh, we finally at tip number 3. Tune that emotion into the channel. So you got to do the thing, whatever your favorite thing was. Like, I just talked about what my favorite thing was. I hope you determine, or starting to determine, what your thing is. From there, literally do it. Like, even last night when I was feeling those things, I came home, I made a little freestyle video. And what did I do after that? I think I drew after that. I really like digital painting. And so I drew after that. I took care of myself. I went to bed. This morning, there's still a little bit of residue here, but I'm making a podcast. I made a podcast episode because, you know, the feeling can't stick. It's okay for the feeling to happen, but when the feeling be sticking is when you really be sinking. And so it was really important for me to release this residue. Releasing the residue, I had to tune in and get some advice overall to know how to do that. And so, of course, when I get advice, I'm gonna give advice, okay? I just so, you know, I reiterate what I'm learning to make sure I fully understand it and carry it through my subconscious life. You feel? Okay, so next step is quite literally to do the thing. I've been doing the thing, and even recording this episode right now is me doing the thing. Last step, step number 4, this one only has 4, is enjoy the flow. Rather the flow is long, rather the flow is short, just keep channeling it until you feel empty of it and refilled of what you actually believe. Because especially when you separate the emotion out of you, you're naturally going to need a refill, and the refill is your actual belief. you can't refill with something. That's how people turn to like drinking, drugs, video games, like distractions, social media. Like when you, even if it's subconsciously, remove the emotion out of you, the thing that you refill yourself with is your belief. And make sure that your belief is like rooted in a sense of reality. Like you shouldn't be tyrant anybody, and you shouldn't like mortar yourself or anything along those lines. But most definitely what refills you is your belief. So that's a huge part of it. Enjoy the flow, keep channeling it, and keep refilling yourself until you're like, thank God this is over. Or at least I feel less triggered to it. This is overall how you feel less triggered to it. You know, when you feel triggered, your emotions go up, and then you get sad that you feel triggered. This is getting us back in like that medium stage. So the last things that I really have to say is we're all human, no matter how much knowledge we could have. Like, even though this feels like a guideline for me and this feels like a guideline to hand out, even with those things, it's just like we are still going to feel this emotion no matter what. And so it's what you do with the emotion is what progresses you forward. And if I'm going to do anything in life, rather I'm flopping or rather I'm slaying, if I'm doing anything, I'm fucking progressing. And so if you're just here to progress, girl, here you go. No one's perfect, and typically when there's pain involved, there's an unchecked projection in the mix. Rather you're throwing out some type of unchecked projection from your trauma, or somebody else is doing it onto you, it's in the mix. No matter how it got there, it's in the mix. So you got to determine what you believe, and you got to let them be separate for others, even when they agree. And so, because when you agree so much, the moment you don't agree, it's gonna feel like a war. And it don't really have to be like that. You are your own functional person. They are their own functional person. We can share space, rather we believe the same thing or not. So people don't determine your worth and placement. You do. Feel your feelings, talk about them, place them somewhere, and keep it going. Those are my advice. You can find the written version of this on my blog, which is Single Girl Safe. Is it Single Girl Safe? I'm gonna have it tagged in the description because it's on Notion, and Notion be having the craziest like domain website thing that I can't even change, to where I'm just gonna have the link to my blog in the description below if you want to see these 4 steps more clearly written and without my personal experience in there. So this most definitely gives you a more clear blueprint on how you could adjust it to yourself. But if you needed examples, I just told all my business. So thanks for watching. Bye.